Welcome to PEMF training, and in this first video we'll look at how it works. What does it do to your body? And for that we need to understand that we are energy beings, electrical beings having a physical experience. When you go from the biggest, like the universe, which is held in place by magnetic fields within the quantum field, in the same way when we go to the smallest, electrons cruising around a nucleus core that is just as far apart and just as tiny in matter as the universe. So understanding that just that swill of energy is actually you in billions of cells all put together, then we understand that the electricity, the energy necessary for us to be alive and healthy is very crucial. Now, when you look at the cell in itself, we can see that there is outside a lipid profile, and that is protecting the cell within itself with the internal factory, ATP production. And if that is in balance, we have equal amount of positive and negative within the cell, then the cell has a healthy membrane potential. And that membrane potential allows the cell to work optimally. Usually it's between 60 and 80 millivolt. Now, if you compare that with everything outside, as soon as we have a healthy environment in nature, we have that balance between negative and positive ions, and it's in constant motion. Whereas if we go into a stale room where the air is not ventilated, where there is no air circulation, that's when we have high positive ionization. And you can see here, negative ions are a lot more active. There is more ions cruising around the nuclei, whereas in a positive ion, there is less movement, there is less action. Which means if we imbalance those two, if we become in our life more sedentary, we don't exercise, we don't spend outdoors, we don't hike and swim in nature, then our cells slowly deplete. And as we all know, with our lifestyle, we really struggle with that. So this is the situation that we find in nature and also within ourselves. So as soon as we have a healthy cell, it works. All those membrane receptors work perfectly. And as soon as the cell loses that energy and we get too many positive ions, or actually lack of negative ions, that's when the cell deflates. And then it looks like an all shriveled up balloon, which doesn't really allow full functioning. Low ATP production, and that's when we go into that fermentative state of the cell producing high acidity, lactic acid, and yeast production in the body, which then is pretty much a vortex. It just gets worse. So we have two options. One would be to exercise outdoors, fresh air all the time, or we use energy that travels through the body, pulses through the body to recharge our body with negative ions. And then there is another very important factor, those ion channels at the outside of your cells. And I'll cover that more in the detox video, heavy metal detox video. But that's where it really becomes important that your cell have a healthy membrane potential. Because if you're shriveled up and your cells are falling apart, then it's very hard for the cell to take in nutrients and release waste products. Also, if there is toxins that are locked onto the cell and they hold on with their negative charge to a particular membrane opening, then that is blocked and no nutrients can go in. And that's what we blast off with those heavy pulses from the PMF, like those massive shock waves. They are released from the cell and then can be caught in a detox process where we catch them with binder to eliminate them well. And that's pretty much the foundation why PEMF works. That's all. It's not that much. Everything else is a chain reaction. For example, improved microcirculation. When you have more oxygen and your red blood cells more pliable, they can reach every organ. Accelerated cellular detox from heavy metals and PCBs and dioxins, which is actually due to the shock wave. You blast those off and then you can bind and eliminate them. Increased supply of oxygen due to charged hemoglobin. Your hemoglobin holds, I think, 250 oxygen molecule if properly charged. If improperly charged, when your blood saturation goes down, well, that's when you have only, let's say, 100 oxygen molecules holding on to that hemoglobin and traveling through the body. So by charging and increasing negative ionization within each cell, you can then carry more oxygen, which means also when you open up with membrane potential your cell, then you can actually absorb more nutrients. That increases ATP production. That produces then more antioxidants. It's all a chain reaction from that one single thing. Increasing your negative ionization, increasing the potential of each cell. Now the cell still needs to work on its own, but it has more energy to do so. And that's why you find in elderly people that when they start using PMF, they build up more and more energy. And depending on how far down you are, it might take a while to bring you back up, but you will find that it always happens over time. You build up more and more resilience. The body can deal with more and more things at the side before you reach proper health. And I won't go through all of them. You'll see them in other videos. We'll cover them in more detail when we go into medical terms and medical videos. So I just wanted to start out with a short video that you understand the main factor is actually that increase in membrane potential due to an increase in negative charged ions so that your cells work perfectly. See you in the next video.